God bless you, loved ones. Welcome to the Word with Chester. Today we will continue study in the 18th chapter of the book of Numbers. In our last study, we read down to verse 23. Today we will reread verse 23 and continue to the conclusion of the chapter. This won't be a long lesson today, so let me pause to let our newcomers know exactly what we're doing. When you broadcast on a medium as the internet, there's people that just happen along and they're there for a short time, or they just click on to see what's going on. They need to know exactly what we're doing, because you don't get the fullness of what we're doing just by listening to one session. But to our visitors, I do apologize for the repetition for those that are with us all the time, but I have to do this from time to time. What we're doing is we're teaching through the Bible, verse by verse and chapter by chapter. We started with the Gospel of St. Matthew and went completely through the New Testament scriptures, and now we're well on our way in the Old Testament. Now in the book of Numbers, we'll have another year to a year and a half to complete the Bible, but if you stay with us, you will have read completely through this Bible, verse by verse and chapter by chapter. Yes, most of our lessons are archived. You can go back as far as you would like. We broadcast on YouTube. You can go to our YouTube channel, Clinging to Him, or key in my name, Chester L. Figure Sr., or go to my website, www.poemsbychester.com. That's POEMSBYCHESTER.com. Click on where it says The Word with Chester, and it will take you to this ministry. And feel free to browse all the way back to the beginning if you can possibly do so, if you have the time, and you will be blessed through it. Now, in our last lesson, we read from verse 23. Let me read that again for you. But the Levites shall do the service of the tabernacle of the congregation, and they shall bear their iniquity. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generation, that among the children of Israel they have no inheritance. What are we talking about? They did not have an inheritance of land to where they could go and farm and graze their cattle and do all of the type of things that it takes for a civilization or a family to live. They did not have an inheritance as that. But God is making allotment here in these scriptures so that they will be taken care of as well. You got to understand, all of the children of Israel, God loved them, and He didn't slight anyone. He made a way for all of them to live. Some of the tribes, they got an inheritance, which was ground or whatever their craft was. They had enough ground and resources to do what that craft was to make their living. The priest, Aaron and his family, and the Levites, the Levitical priests, they did not have an inheritance to glean. So God is seeing that they are taken care of as well. Now, verse 24, the Bible reads, and the tithes of the children of Israel, which they offer as an heave offering unto the Lord, I giveth to the Levites to inherit. In other words, when people pay their tithes, and that's one thing you'll never get me to fight, and that's paying tithes. I think it's a good thing to pay tithes, and I think when you pay your tithes, God will bless you for what you do. It's the word of the Lord, and no getting around that. And so don't ever get on the group of people that will fight people that pay their tithes, but just watch and try God, and watch and see Him bless, and watch and see what He does when a person does pay their tithes. So this is a mention of that word tithe that we dread so much. Well, never be afraid of giving to God what He says or what He requires of you. Now I'll read 24 again, and we'll continue. But the tithes of the children of Israel, which they offer as an heave offering unto the Lord, I I have given to the Levites to inherit. I've given this to the Levites to inherit. Therefore I have said unto them, among the children of Israel, they shall have no inheritance. They did not have an inheritance except for the tithe that God gave them. This is how they lived. Their job was to work in the tabernacle, or do the work of the tabernacle. Make sure everything that was in its place. And you have to also understand the travel mode that the children of Israel were in. They were wandering in the wilderness for much of this time through here. And when they moved, the tabernacle had to be disassembled, taken down, and folded up, and everything put in its place, and then transported to where their next stop would be, and then rebuilt. Just like they took it down, they had to rebuild it and get everything in place. Everything had to be in order. So their job was working in the tabernacle. And if you want to know the truth, if that job is done like it's supposed to, you don't have the time to go out and do a secular type job in farming land and things of that nature, especially in this day, in the day that we're reading about. That was a lot of work. I'm talking about men work. They had to tear that tabernacle down and build it back up, and then make sure everything was in place. And remember, in the tabernacle, they were taking care of the work of the Lord, so they could not do it haphazardly. Now let's read verse 25. And the Lord spoke unto Moses, saying, Thus speak unto the Levites, and say unto them, When ye take of the children of Israel the tithes, which I have given you from them for your inheritance, then ye shall offer up an heave offering of it for the Lord, even a 10th part of the tithe. What are you talking about? You receive tithe from the congregation of Israel, from all of Israel. They came in and they paid their tithes to the Lord. The Levites received of that tithe, and they got their living out of it. But even out of that tithe that they received from the children of Israel, they were supposed to pay tithes to the priest. I hope you got that. Shall I read it again? 26. Thus speak unto the Levites, and say unto them, When ye take of the children of Israel the tithe which I have given you from them for your inheritance, then ye shall offer up an heave offering of it for the Lord. In other words, you offer your tithe. You offer part of it before the Lord. You offer a heave offering before the Lord, even a 10th part of the tithe. A 10th part of the tithe. You receive tithes from the children of Israel. You take a 10th part of that you receive, and then you pay tithes or give a heave offering yourself out of what you have received. Now let's read verse 27. And this your heave offering shall be reckoned unto you, as though it were the grain of the threshing floor, and as the fullness of the winepress. Well, when you do it, if this is an order from the Lord, when you do it, and this your heave offering shall be reckoned unto you, as though it were the grain of the threshing floor, and as the fullness of the wine. In other words, the children of Israel, yes, they're the one had the threshing floors. They're the one that grew the grain and gathered the grain and took it to the threshing floor. They're the one that gathered the grapes and made it so that it became the wine that we're talking about now. And your heave offering shall be reckoned unto you as though it were the grain. Just like you went out, the children of Israel went out and grew grain and not only grew it, but gathered it in. Please excuse me, gathered it in. And then brought part of it and offered it unto the Lord. This will be just like that. When you pay your tithes, it'll be just like them doing what they do and offering it up unto the Lord. I hope I made that plain to you. Now verse 28 reads, Thus ye shall Ye also shall offer an heave offering unto the Lord of all your tithes, which ye receive of the children of Israel, and ye shall give there of the Lord heave offerings to Aaron the priest. Remember what we talked about. The Levites were the helpers, or like the deacons that we would describe in that day. They cared and made sure the manual things in the temple, in the tabernacle, was taken care of. Well, when they offered their tithes, they would give that to Aaron, which was the priest, and that was the allotment for his sons. Now remember, there was a place in the tabernacle that even the Levites were not supposed to go. That was only for the priests that God had called and ordained to do things around the Ark of the Covenant, or the holiest of holy places there in the tabernacle. So get the picture now. The Levites, they received tithes of the children of Israel, and then they paid tithes. Out of the tithes that they paid, it went to Aaron and Aaron's sons for their inheritance. I hope you understand where I'm at today. Shall we read verse 29? Out of all of your gifts ye shall offer every heave offering of the Lord, of all the best thereof, even the hallowed part thereof, out of it you shall offer it unto the Lord. I got to read that again. Out of all of your gifts ye shall offer every heave offering unto the Lord. You are supposed to give unto the Lord, starting at the what we would call the least, and there's no least and great in the kingdom of God, but you have to understand that even the people that had what they call menial tasks, they were supposed to pay tithes out of what they received, and the landowners, they were supposed to pay tithes out of what they received. Everyone paid tithes, and the tithes God distributed that way. The Levites that received, you got to understand, God does not need your money himself. He doesn't carry a billfold like you and I carry to take care of our needs and let money run through it and all that kind of stuff. All God has to do is speak a word, and what he needs is there. All he has to do is speak a word, and he's already blessed. Everything he utters that come out of his mouth will come to pass. So he don't need dollars and cents, and he don't need grain and all of that type of thing. But God set up a system for those that would work for him and labor for him, how they could survive, how they could live. And they lived off of the tithes that was received, or the offerings that was received. I hope you're getting the picture today. Now verse 30 reads, therefore thou shalt say unto them, when ye have lifted up the best thereof from it, then it shall be counted unto the Levites as the increase of the threshing floor, and as the increase of the winepress. It's going to be counted to them just like they did a day's work or season's work and gleaned what they have and then brought it to the Lord when they received of the tithe, and then offered of that tithe and paid tithes themselves, if you please. It was reckoned or likened as a heave offering, or just like they did a season's work and received whatever monetary or whatever the value thereof was. Now verse 31 reads, and ye shall eat it in every place, ye and your household, for it is your reward for your service in the tabernacle of the congregation. You shall eat it in your household. Well, there's not a stipulated place for you to eat this. You can eat it in your household. You can take it there where you live and where you reside, and your children can partake of this as well, because it is your inheritance. Well, you got to understand there were certain things offered that the priest had to eat in the holiest of holy parts of the tabernacle. They could not eat it out and take it to where they resided and where they live. They ate it in the holiest of holy places. And then there were other offerings that they could take out and feed and take to their family so their family could eat. Certain offerings they had to eat behind the veil of the temple or in the holiest of holy places in the tabernacle, and they received it. That was for their male children or the priest, if you pleased. And then there were other offerings even that the priests would take out to their families that was for their daughters and their wives and all of their families. I hope you understand where I'm at today. If you were with us on a prior study, you will understand what I just said to you. In verse 32, and ye shall bear no sin by reason of it. In other words, you won't be sinning because you take a part of it. So don't get mad if you see a preacher receive an offering. He's not going to be cursed because he received an offering from the people. Now I will say, and I got to make things plain for you, God knows the difference when someone is trying to fleece the people, fleece the sheep and take more than what he's supposed to have. God knows the difference. But there's nothing wrong with you receiving of the things that come into the house of the Lord. Now, this is the word of the Lord, not just me talking. God set a way for the priest to receive that which was their inheritance. He set a way for the Levites to receive which was their inheritance. And he also showed a way for all of the children of Israel to be blessed and what they did. Now let's read verse 32. And ye shall bear no sin by reason of it. It won't be a sin for you to take a partake of it. And when ye have lifted up from it the best of it, neither shall ye pollute the holy things of the children of Israel. When you take of the best of it, you haven't polluted the things of God. You haven't desecrated the things of God, because God is saying, I'm the one that set this in order, lest ye die. When you take of it, you don't pollute it. I'm not going to kill you for doing it. You won't die. But let me let you know something else. If an ordinary person that had not been called to that job, had not been called, they was not a Levite, or they was not in the Aaronic family, if they came in and ate certain things, then they would die because they desecrated the things of the Lord. Or even if the Levites would go behind the veil of the temple and partake of that which was for the priest, they would die. Why? Because God set it in order. When God sets something in order, well, who are you and who am I to change it? If God changes it, it's on him. And he will do that. It's up to you and I to follow the word of the Lord and accept the word of the Lord, and not get mad at the word of the Lord or try to change the word of the Lord, because the word of the Lord is truth all by itself. I want you to know that I love you, my friends. I love the Lord with all of my heart. I want you to know if I can do anything for you, all you have to do is communicate with me. You can communicate with me through mail or through my email. I would tell you if I would put a number out there a telephone number for you to call, I would probably be inundated to where I could not answer them all at this time. But there's a time coming where I will set up the staff or pay a service to do that. But right now, you can call me or you can contact me, rather. You can contact me by writing me a letter, mail it to the Word with Chester Ministries, Post Office Box 200603, 78220. You can reach me at my website, www.poemsbychester.com, POEMSBYCHESTER.com. When you write me through my website, when you contact me through my website, please leave return information so that I can get back with you. I want you to know again, my friends, I love you. I love you with the love of the Lord. God bless you.